Welcome to our webinar, Beyond Dual Credit Courses, Creating High School Academies that Offer Stackable Credentials. My name is Claudia Manus, and I am the Director of NCPN. If you have any questions during the webinar, please put them in chat. I will share these questions with the presenters at the end of the presentation. This webinar will be recorded. A link to the recording will be sent to all registrants within the next week. At this time, I am going to ask Katie Graff to introduce herself and the other speakers. Katie.
Thanks, Claudia. Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Graff, and I'm the Director of High School Partnerships here at Gateway Technical College in southeastern Wisconsin. I sit in the Student Services Division here at Gateway, and my role, I'm responsible for connecting with our tri-county area high schools, leveraging our partnerships with all of our area high schools with a big focus on dual credit. Today with me, I have Jamie Spatial and Ray Kukari.
Thanks, Katie. Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie Spatial. I serve as Gateway's Director of Career Pathways and Program Effectiveness. So half of my job is really focused on designing and implementing career pathway structures in all of our academic program areas. And in the other half of my job, I focus on working with our program faculty and deans on program quality improvement, curriculum, and assessment.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ray Kukari. I am the Dean for the School of Manufacturing, Engineering, and IT. And this is part of the Academic Affairs Division. And what I wanted to share with you was we're all from different divisions, but we all work very close together. There's not a week that doesn't go by that we're not on video chats with each other, asking questions about pathways and how we can better communicate with the high schools and with the students. So welcome, and we look forward to this conference. Katie. A little about Gateway Technical College. This is Gateway's one of 16 technical colleges in the state of Wisconsin, if you're not familiar with that. We were established in 1911, and this is our 110th year. We serve approximately 20,000 students in a 3-county area, and most of the technical colleges are bound by graphical counties usually. And we have 3 main campuses, one in Elkhorn, one in Kenosha, one in Racine. And we serve 35 public and private high schools with 14 public school districts. And in the state of Wisconsin, Kenosha is the 3rd largest and Racine's the 5th largest of those school districts. And we are a guided pathways college. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to take just a few minutes here and set the stage for how we have really built our dual credit pathways with the high school. And to take a step back, we need to talk about all of the career pathways work that we have done as an institution. So through a state-funded grant opportunity back in 2015, we really started having an intentional focus on designing pathway systems within our programs. So our technical college system here in Wisconsin has 2 different types of embedded credentials that we can utilize when we're building pathways within our academic programs, both certificates and diplomas. And so what we're really going to focus on a little bit today is talking about our short-term, welding diploma. But Katie and I often use our short-term certificates as well when we are working with the high schools, because as you can see, they're less than 18 credits. Many of them are 12 credits or less, and they're entry-level curriculum, which really allows our high schools to kind of grab onto those opportunities and offer those courses either within the high school, again, or to partner with us for having those students come and take them here as well. We develop all of our pathway structures and credentials with local employers. We utilize our advisory committee structure for that. And we really want to make sure that these credentials lead to in-demand job opportunities within our district, so that when we sort of make that promise to the high schools and the students that we serve, that these are all well aligned with employer needs, that we make good on that promise. All of these credentials, the other reason why these are nice for high school students is I set them up in a way that they require really no prior experience or very little. So this isn't to say that, oh, someone could take these 12 credits and get a really good job in our district, but they'd have to have 3 years of job experience. We want to make sure that these are entry level positions. And the nice thing about these as well, and Katie will talk a little bit more about this as well throughout today's webinar, is that a lot of these courses that we've targeted and that are part of these certificate and short-term diploma packages were already being offered at our high schools. So we really started to see a lot of growth and opportunity there from an alignment perspective. And so one of the key facets that we use to advertise and speak about pathway opportunities with our high school partners and high school students and their parents are our career pathway maps. And so about a year into our project, we launched those in 2016. And I'll show you an example in a second. And they really do sort of map out and align all of the pathway opportunities within that specific program. So we have now grown, I think initially in 2016, I had, 14 or 15 maps. We've now expanded to all of our program areas, including apprenticeship. So current total is 64 that we update and maintain on an annual basis. We do add new maps every year as programs are developed, and we also modify those as new embedded credentials arise within program systems. So again, every year we update certification, salary information, anything else that rises to the top that we need to sort of modify. And then one of the nice things that we do as an institution is we provide access to our high school partners of bound color copies of all of the maps, as well as electronic versions, so that they can use those in their classrooms, and counselors can use them when they're working with students and parents to make dual credit enrollment decisions. So they end up being a really nice resource for our high schools. And so here's an example of one of our career pathway maps. This is for our welding program. So as you can see, we have 2 credentials within that program area. We're going to focus talking a lot today about the welding maintenance and fabrication diploma. And so again, short-term opportunity, only 16 credits. So it fits in really well as we look at dual credit partnerships and how we can better engage our high school students in this pathway. But as you can see, then it really shows the lockstep transition into our full welding diploma. And then one of the things we also do at the end is point out any bachelor degree articulation opportunities, or in this case, continuing education opportunities. So we do highlight that there is a construction steam fitter apprenticeship in our district that students, once they complete the welding diploma, could transition to as well. And then on the back, we provide just some basic information about our campuses, how to get started, credit for prior learning. And for this conversation, the most critical piece of information are ways that students can earn credit in high school. And so one of the things that Katie and her team handles every year for me is they provide me with an updated list of courses to put in this particular section of the map. So again, that we're driving students to take a specific set of courses that translate into a credential, so that they're not sort of taking a hodgepodge of courses from a variety of program areas. One of the other things that Katie and I have developed over the past few years that we're really excited about, and our high school partners are as well, are these infographics. So the maps are really nice from an advising perspective when you're sitting down and having a discussion with someone about curriculum and course selection and their career path options. But the high schools were asking us for some sort of resource that they could also use to highlight the pathways in the high schools that they could blow up into poster sizes or have in the classrooms. And the maps just did not really meet that need. So we took this model, which was originally designed for an automotive event that I and Katie and a few others here at the college partnered to create. And we said to the high schools, would this work for you? And they overwhelmingly said yes. So what Katie and I work on every couple of months is we pick 4 of our program areas, and we design these infographics with our marketing teams. And so I think we're up to 28 of them now, and we just keep continuing to grow in this space. But again, it's all the same information that you would see on our pathway maps, but we also throw in a few other things, like for example, in that upper right-hand corner, we talk about the potential savings to a high school student and their family if they take that specific set of credits. And again, this is presented, I think, in a way that's really eye-catching and engaging for students as they're walking through hallways or seeing this up in their classrooms. And then lastly, one of the things that I wanted to highlight before I turn it over to Katie and Ray so that they can really talk to you about all the great work that we're doing with dual credit academies is, again, to sort of touch on something Ray mentioned before, and that's our strong partnership, particularly between the work I do in career pathways and the work Katie's doing with dual credit. And there's two specific things that I wanted to highlight in just a little bit of greater detail on this slide. And the first is pathway specific recruitment events. And so Katie and I have done a few of these throughout the years. These are really nice to do as you at a technical college or a high school partner, can partner with your counterparts in your area. We really invite parents and students to come in and see what a transition then to Gateway would look like. So our administration is available. We provide food, faculty are available. There's tours, employers often come in and speak, so that parents really get a good feel for what does this look like, from a high school transition to Gateway. Those have been very successful for us. And then one of the other things that's been really successful, again, is targeting those courses that are already part of pathway credentials. And so again, as we were creating more and more pathway credentials here, Katie and I took a step back and said, well, look, almost all of these courses are already being offered. So the nice thing now is that Katie then can take the information about the pathway sequences and structures to the high schools and share with them, listen, your school is one class short, right, of being able to have students earn this credential. What do we need to do? How can we partner to get those students access to that course? And so that has also, again, been very impactful for us. And again, Katie and Ray will talk about that a little bit more. And then lastly, we really do leverage those systems to target grants. And that's really how we got into the dual credit academy space as an institution. So I'm now going to turn it over to Katie and Ray and let them share information about our academies.
Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate you laying the groundwork, and I'm going to lay a little bit more. So just so I know, we're saying the word dual credit, and I think everyone probably across the nation has a little bit of a different definition of dual credit, depending on who you're talking to. So here at Gateway, we look at dual credit as really an umbrella term for any way that a high school student can earn both free college credit and high school credit. Here at Gateway, we actually have 7 different ways that high school students can earn free dual credit. And each year we support about 6,000 students in dual credit, saving our communities millions of dollars through our dual credit programs. I could talk about all of these opportunities for the rest of the webinar, but I'm not going to do that today. Just kind of wanted to highlight, though, that we do have a lot of different ways, whether it's a high school teacher teaching a class through transcripted credit and advanced standing, or students coming over here taking classes with our faculty. Just wanted to highlight again, there's 7 different ways, but really for today's conversation, I really want to pick on number 5, our high school academy model. That's what Ray and I are going to really dive deep into here. But Jamie really hit on it. And one of the things that we were noticing with some of our 6,000 dual credit students is they were taking like a hodgepodge of courses. Some students would graduate high school with 30 college credits, but maybe they were all spread out amongst 6 different programs. So really kind of having those conversations and thinking about, what are ways that we can really get a student on a path, on a career pathway, earning a credential before they graduate from high school. And that's how we kind of came up with our high school academy model. So Ray, I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of go through our high school academies and what they mean.
Great, thanks, Katie. So the high school academies are duly enrolled in courses that lead to certifications and stackable credentials, and that's what we were talking about all along. But the fun part about this, for Katie and me at least, is that we typically get to see these students graduate from a technical diploma before they graduate from high school. And if you don't think that's a thrill, you ought to see some of the parents when they light up and beam at us about getting that technical diploma and the opportunities their children have in job placement and career opportunities. So I want to talk about 21-22. This is the coming year. We have a CNC Academy. That's one we've run a few times. Criminal justice, and new this year, general studies. New this year, data analytics. New this year, nursing. New this year, smart manufacturing, and then welding again. So this just kind of shows you that we are continuing to expand these opportunities for the high schools in our area, and it's based on their demand, their excitement about the programs, and they're filling these classes. So I'm going to share right now a video that talks about two students that were in the program.
Hi, I'm Brian Pody. I'm in the High School Academy for Machining at Gateway. I really liked at high school how they had basic machining classes, and then when I found out it was really fun, I wanted to continue on. So then they said that there was this opportunity through Gateway where I could get more learning for machining.
Hello, my name is Jalen. I'm here at Gateway Technical College for the Welding Academy. I enjoy it. Yeah, I definitely enjoy it. It's a pretty cool experience being here. Creating something, destroying something, connecting two pieces together, and then take that pride, like, okay, like I'm the one that made this, like nobody else did. I did it on my own.
In the shop, we have a ton of equipment that's all used in industry and is very, very good state-of-the-art equipment. So right now we're working on the mill and the lathe. We are currently just finishing up a part that it's called the Titan M1, where we learn the basics of how to touch off end mills.
We've learned how to TIG weld, I've learned how to stick weld, and I learned how to MIG weld. It's good hands-on experience, especially for like I said, for the real world. Kyle, he's the main person that we go to. He's somebody that you can look up to, especially in this field. So when you ask him, he knows what he's talking about. You don't have to really question it. I'm glad that I was able to have him as my teacher this year.
Rich, who's our instructor for the course, he's always willing to help me when I need help and teach me stuff about the machine that is really useful to know.
My helmet got paid for, my clear goggles got paid for, tuition got paid, basically everything, so that was all taken care of.
With the dual credit course, I get credit for high school and Gateway, which puts me farther ahead than people that did not take these academies. I have experience also outside of Gateway with local business. Having a job already lined up, it is huge. It helps you get further ahead, even further ahead than the people that are just getting into college now.
I plan on coming back in the fall for, I believe it's the advanced MIG and stick welding classes. And then after that, get my apprenticeship for ironworking, so that way in 5 years I could become a journeyman. This is something that I'm actually looking forward to doing, and I get to enjoy it.
I would definitely encourage other high school students to take this course, as it really helps you gain knowledge in the machining world and just help you get ahead in this career if that's what you feel like pursuing.
Thanks, Ray, for showing that video. I'm so excited for those two students. They completed our academies last year and are planning on continuing on here at Gateway. I see they're both coming back for the fall classes. So I just wanted to kind of highlight a few of the components of what our high school academy includes. So our high school academies is really that sequence of courses that lead to a stackable credential. So students are taking anywhere from 2 to 3 classes in the fall semester, and then they continue on in the spring semester taking another 2 to 3 classes. Students are in a cohort model, so they really build a bond with their other fellow high school classmates. So these are high school students coming from all over the Tri-County area. And so they really kind of build those friendships in these classes, taking classes throughout the entire academic year. One thing that's really unique about the state of Wisconsin is that these stackable credentials that these students are earning in our high school academy model are Act 59 CTE incentive eligible. And what that means is through our Department of Workforce Development and Department of Public Instruction, they will give funding back to our public high schools for students that earn a certification on this very long list that they publish every year. This has been going on for the last few years, but students, if they have a credential, including any of our career pathway credentials, or any of our technical diplomas or associate degrees here from any of the Wisconsin Technical College systems, colleges, the high school will get back up to $1,000 back for that student. So our high schools are always excited about when they get funding back for students earning stackable credentials. Students that do have that stackable credential from our high school academy then can continue on here at Gateway, furthering their career path. So like Jamie showed you earlier in the career pathway map for welding, students are earning that first welding maintenance and fabrication technical diploma, and then can continue on and earn that other 40 credit technical diploma here at the college. Those do build on one another. Through our high school academies, classes are being taught at Gateway's campuses and centers by our faculty. So I work really closely, like Ray mentioned, we're talking all the time. It's our dean's faculty. It's our faculty here at Gateway. So our faculty have a lot of experience working in the field. And as you heard from Jalen and Brian, that they love working with our faculty. They learn a lot. They're coming here with our state-of-the-art equipment, taking classes right here on our campuses and centers. There is an exception though. If our high schools do have the appropriate equipment and lab space, we can bring an academy out to them. And actually, I think Ray's going to talk about that with our welding academy at one of our local high schools. Another thing a big thing that we really learned quickly with our high school academies, when you are planning them, you really want to make sure that you're taking a high school student's high school schedule in mind. So we build our high school academies where the students are either starting their day with Gateway or ending their day with Gateway. So classes typically are starting around 7:30 in the morning until 9 or 9:30. So they're here on our campus for about 2 hours, or they're ending their day with us, 1 to 3 o'clock time frame. A high school student still has to graduate from high school, so it's important that they're able to still meet their high school requirements. But also we really learned that sports and after school activities is really important for these students and parents. So we really try and have classes end around 3 so that students can get back to their campus and take advantage of those opportunities back at their high school. These students, like Ray and I have talked about, are dual credit students. So they are earning both high school and college credit. And students have access to the same services as our traditional Gateway students. So they get their photo ID taken, they have a Gateway ID card, they can utilize our tutoring services, disability support services, our library. They have academic advisors here at the college. So all the same services that we have for our traditional students, our dual credit high school academy students have access to as well. One other thing just to kind of highlight, transportation is not included in our high school academies. However, I will say one of our largest school district, Kenosha Unified, has actually found it in their budget to bus students. So they have such a large group of students that are coming from the Kenosha campus, those high schools, all the way up to the Racine campus, which is about a 20-minute ride. And so they have found funding within their own budget to transport those students through busing. But I do know a lot of other students carpool with others from their high school. So that is something I just wanted to highlight. Also really wanted to kind of talk about funding. I know that might be some of the questions that are coming along in the chats right now. So funding, I would say we pretty much have about 3 different funding opportunities. Number 1 being grant funded. Jamie kind of highlighted this, but kind of this this frame of work for us here at Gateway really started with a Department of Workforce Development grant. There was a grant that came out that was really geared towards high school student certifications. And I was thinking, man, we have so many high school students interested in welding and they're maybe just missing one class. What can we do? So really worked very closely with Ray and his team to come up with our pilot academy, which was in welding. And so for that first year, all of the tuition, the fees, instruction, materials, textbooks, all the welding supplies, the goggles, the hats, everything was funded by that grant. I think that really had a lot of eyes opened when we saw that we had a lot of students graduating with their technical diplomas, and these students really, really loved what they were doing. A second opportunity to get funding is we actually have a private donor that's funding one of our current academies. So I partner really closely with our foundation here at Gateway. I update our director of our foundation about all of our academy opportunities, and she kind of keeps that in her mind when she's talking with potential donors. And so we did have a donor approach us last year who is funding our Smart Manufacturing Academy for the next few years. So really excited about that. And then also third, I would say this is majority of where our funding is now coming from is our high schools. Our high schools are paying tuition fees and textbooks costs for those that are not grant funded or private donor funded. I would say once the high school sees the success and the differences, they are willing to fund it. I have a quote down here from Maria, from one of our principals. Maria mentioned that, the first year they only had one student participate in that grant-funded welding academy. And that student carried around his welding helmet like his Letterman jacket. So proud, walking around the hallways, and all the other students were like, what are you doing? Like, where are you going? Why do you have this helmet? What are you doing? And so he actually recruited a handful of students the next year to join the welding academy. So just seeing the success, seeing the difference that it's really making in these students' lives. Our districts and high schools are willing to budget for our academies. An academy on average costs about $2,000 for tuition, textbooks, and fees. But I do want to say that I know that can be a large sum of money for many of our high schools, but on average, most of our high schools, they're just sending us about 4 students each year. So we're not asking them to send us, 50 students. It's really more like 4. So together, collectively, between all of our Tri-County high schools, we're able to build up those cohorts. But I will also say one of our high schools this upcoming year, a private high school, they called me in February and they said, we want to make sure our students have opportunities. What can we do? And we talked about our high school academy model. And they actually took it upon their own fundraising efforts and came up with funding to support 40 students. So they said, yep, we want to support 40 students. So they're sending us 40 students in welding and nursing, general studies. So really excited about that. So one of our private high schools in our area through their own fundraising efforts are going to send us 40 students through the academy model this upcoming year. All right, so Ray, I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of highlight a little bit about that pilot program that we did with that DWD grant.
Great, and it was an exciting grant. We were able to offer 6 Gateway courses in welding over 3 semesters, and that's 16 credits. We also had an MSSC safety class that we could offer at the same time. So they got that certification as well for safety. And then books, welding kit, and the supplies, they were funded through a Department of Workforce Development Fast Forward grant. And that helped our students all have the necessary equipment that they needed to weld, because if you don't have that, it's very hard to do. Certifications earned, though, this was really exciting for us. 30, the high school Gateway maintenance, 30 of the students got Gateway welding maintenance and fabrication technical diplomas, which was really exciting, and 80% success rate, which is a fantastic rate, as you know. 11% were juniors, so they got that technical diploma as a junior. And we had additional certifications, like I said, in the safety and the youth apprentice side. We continued that after the pilot, and we have now a high school that Katie talked about, Waterford High School, for the last 2 years now, they have been offering the welding right in their high school with one of our instructors. So they continue on this model. And we now have also new cohorts that were started in both our Racine and our Elkhorn campuses. We have reduced the program down to 2 semesters because we could offer more hours. And what we did academically is we started our program at 7 o'clock sharp for our internal courses, and they were done at noon. And right then the high school students start and they go for 5 hours, and they are there for that 5 hours. And then we start our evening classes. So we were able to fit them right into that middle block. They meet 3 days a week for those 5 hours. And the high school now pays for the tuition, the fees for their helmet and their gloves and everything, and the book costs.
A few things I wanted to highlight just from a positive impact perspective from our high school academy model. Ray and Jamie and I have been talking about some numbers, so I wanted to share them with you guys today. So like Ray mentioned, our high school students through our high school academies are graduating with credentials from Gateway prior to graduating from high school. I think that is so exciting to have these high school students be able to say that they're a college grad before they even graduate from high school. And like Ray said, we had 11 students in that pilot year that were even juniors. So they graduated a whole year before graduating from high school. These students are employable and are able to enter the workforce right away. Ray, I know is going to talk about that, but we know that these students are working right away because they do have that employable stackable credential through our career pathway model here at the college. But we also see that students, not only are they working, but they're actually continuing on here at Gateway immediately after graduating from their academies. So 81% of our 2021 high school academy graduates are currently accepted to fall of 2021. So our students are working with our new student specialists here at the college, who are our recruiters that support students and really showcase them that career pathway and showing them that they can continue on, earn more credentials here at the college. So a big shout out to our new student specialist team for all of their support and help in that. And then it also is, we increase our direct enrollments at Gateway Technical College. 42% of our 2021 high school academy graduates are direct enrolled in at least one course this academic year. Again, all of these students do have an academic advisor, and they are working on their academic plans, really showcasing them, you know, what their next steps are, what their next classes are past the high school academy model. So big shout out to our academic advisors here at the college for supporting all of those students and getting enrolled in their next classes. And the interest has really been increasing in our high school academies. So like Ray mentioned, we really look to our high schools and our high school students, like, what are you interested in? And so we really started with that welding model. We added CNC. We saw through other dual credit opportunities that students were interested in criminal justice. So we piloted criminal justice last year. And man, our high schools came back this last year and said, we want to do nursing and general studies and IT data analytics. And so I went to our deans and they said, yes, let's do it. So we're really jumping from one academy just a few years ago to we're going to offer 7 this upcoming year. And you'll see our participation has really grown from just about 30 students our first year to we have just about 120 students signed up for this upcoming academic year. Most of our students, I should say, are juniors and seniors, but they are open, you know, all grade levels as long as students can fit it within their high school schedule. So since the start, we've increased participation from for almost 200% since our first year. Also, just wanted to highlight that since our high schools are paying that tuition and fees for all of these classes since 2018 through this upcoming year, we're anticipating about almost $500,000 or over $500,000 in tuition positive impact here at the college through our high school academy model. All right, Ray, but that's not all. Let's hear about parents, students, and the community. Turn it over to you.
That's the most exciting part to me is some of the stuff we get to do. And you can see in the bottom of this picture, that's Katie and me in our masks out, but last year. But let me talk first about Jacob. His mom told us a quote that was really impressive. It was a game changer for him. He didn't know anything about welding. but he connected with our instructors right away. He had students that were going from his high school to Gateway for welding courses. And she says, I can't say enough about how well he has done. So just a proud parent. We have some linked articles here that you can actually click on when you do get these slides. And I know many of you asked that question. You will get the slides. But these are just great articles about sparking success early, which is what we're excited about. The Badger student graduated high school. He got dual credit, so he had his technical diploma before his high school diploma. And then on that picture on the bottom, that's Katie and I, and we were literally going around, and we drove around and presented this congratulations and their technical diploma to these students. And Aiden's the student on the right. That's his mom next to him, Jessica. Jessica was in a program about 6 years ago that helped her get the SharePoint associate degree, and she actually has a job now at Johnson Financial. Very good job. So they both graduated through similar type programs that helped them both become successful.
That was definitely a fun day, Ray, when we went around. We hit the whole Tri-County area and delivered all of them. One of my favorite days yet.
Mine too. And you know, the parents telling the stories about, oh, I'm sorry you missed my son, but he's at work welding. That was, to me, that was exciting. I mean, it just was.
Yeah, we were smiling ear to ear.
Well, thanks, Katie and Ray, for sharing that information with everyone about our dual credit academies. And so as Katie and Ray mentioned, you will be getting a copy of the slide deck, which has a variety of links embedded. So one of the things that we wanted to do is pull together some resources, things that we use again. So you'll see the example of the career pathway map and the infographic, along with some of the resources Katie uses to promote the academies, the application, again, some of the presentation that Katie and her team and Ray and his folks do for information night for the students and their parents, as well as Katie's amazing annual report, which really does showcase, because I know some of you have been watching the chat have asked questions about some of our other dual credit options. And so that will give you kind of a really good overview, as well as our earn credit page on our website. So that's linked there for you as well as our contact information if you've got further questions. And speaking of questions, what we would like to do now is sort of open it up. And again, many of you have been sharing questions in the chat. And so Claudia has been monitoring that for us, and she will start firing away so we can provide any other information you might be looking for.
Absolutely, because there have been quite a few questions. So a couple of these I think were initially for you, Jamie.
Okay.
So they ask about the welding courses. Are these offered during the school hours or after school, weekend? When are they offered?
That's actually a Katie question, so I will turn that
over
to her.
No, you're good. So these classes, the welding ones, are actually offered from noon to 5. So that was something we tweaked from our pilot year. Our pilot year, we actually were doing 1 to 3:30. And what we found was the 1 to 3:30, it was like they were just getting set up, and then they'd have to clean up, and they weren't getting to what they needed to do. And it was amongst 3 semesters. And so I actually went 2 school years, and I was losing students during the summer term. So we really, after the second year, we're like, no, got to do 5 hours. That was really big feedback from our faculty, Ray's team, that said, we really want to get them in that full model. But what Ray mentioned earlier is the time frame for having our high schools really was going around our traditional students. So we found that our traditional students, like Ray mentioned, those classes are from 7 a.m. to noon, and then again from 5 p.m. to 10. So our labs are open from noon to 5. And so we just kind of slide right in there, working with Ray and his team and our room scheduling to make sure that our labs are available and space is available. But I think it really goes back, though, to thinking about our high school students' schedule in mind, right? Like they still have English that they have to do at their high school and math and all of that. So we try and have them either start their day with Gateway or end their day with Gateway, but also being aware of what our traditional schedule is here at the college.
Okay, so another question was, if a high school is already offering career pathways, what is the benefit of offering it via Gateway?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start and then I'll let Katie and or Ray sort of chime in here. So yes, many of our high schools were offering a course in welding, right? Or a course in CNC based on their space at the high schools, their access to equipment, and the credentials or the background of their high school instructors. And so, yes, students were getting some entry level exposure, but they weren't getting the entire pathway. And what you also have to remember is the pathways that I create for the college, along with our deans and our faculty and our employers, are meant for all of our students, adults and high school. And so really what we do with these opportunities is Katie will say, okay, this particular high school is already offering a couple of these courses. There's a few more that potentially through an academy or one of our other dual credit opportunities that we could bring either students here or again bring the dual credit out to them. And so then what we do is we align the pieces that the high school is already doing with our established pathways. So we weren't really creating anything special sort of in addition to or in conflict with what the high schools were doing. It was really just helping the high schools align the options that they had with the full-blown pathways that we've already created and offered.
Jamie, I'll add one thing I would say. I think we see a lot of, I'm going to pick on nursing. So we're talking a lot about welding, but nursing, we're going to be offering and piloting for this first year. And so what we've been seeing with a lot of our high schools is a lot of them do have like a health science type of a pathway within their high school. So students are taking, high school level general anatomy and physiology, and they're taking maybe like a intro to health careers. I think what we're seeing is that a lot of our high schools are putting on stipulations that in order to be in the Gateway Academy, you have to first take all of our high school classes. So students are kind of exhausting all of those pathway classes at their high school and really utilizing this like their senior year, kind of like a capstone, a special project to work on. They come here, they're really interested, really invested. They have that base knowledge from their high school, but by coming to our high school academy at Gateway Technical College, they have that opportunity to graduate from Gateway, from the technical college before graduating from high school.
Which kind of leads into the next question. So dual enrollment, is that is it 9 through 12? Is it mainly juniors and seniors? Does that depend on the pathway?
I would say the only pathway right now that we have a stipulation on is our nursing. Our nursing one is only open to seniors. But all of the other ones we say open 9th through 12th grade. Most of the time, though, I would say most students are in their junior and senior year, though, when they do come. And I think it's really about the fact that most freshmen and sophomores don't have a lot of open room in their high school schedule to spend 2 or 3 or 5 hours here at the college. But a lot of students, with their freshman year, they're learning about it. They're seeing their classmates have those welding helmets in the hallways. And so they're starting to make sure that during their freshman year, sophomore year, they're working on all their high school requirements. So when they get to that junior, senior, they definitely can take advantage of the opportunities. But, I have had in that pilot year, I think it was like 2 sophomores that got started. So we definitely, as long as we can work really closely with our high school counselors, making sure that it works for those students, we would be open to taking a freshman or a sophomore.
Right. And you several times have mentioned credentials. Mm-hmm. Are you talking really about certificates that are awarded by the college or industry recognized certificates?
Yep, sure. And I saw that come up. So let me explain what we mean by that. So again, if you refer back to one of the first slides that I chatted about, so our Wisconsin Technical College system allows us to offer essentially in the realm of speaking of this particular topic, a few different types of credentials. So one is the full associate degree. Another is a technical diploma, which are, again, what the welding credentials were, a shorter term and a longer term diploma. And then pathway certificates. And again, those are certificates actually approved by our state system that again have to align with all the career pathway facets. We as a college, I saw someone post a link, so I just want to mention that I think that was Chrissy Adams that posted one of our other certificates that she found on the website. That's actually an internal certificate, not a pathway certificate. So our local certificates, we typically do not target for dual credit academies. And the reason why, if you go back to what Katie mentioned about those Act 59 incentive dollars from the state, is our local certificates, we are approved through the state to offer them, but they are not state approved credentials, meaning they're not going to be on that Act 59 list. We don't report data on completers to the state for those credentials. We don't have to get that curriculum approved. So local certificates we do offer for a variety of reasons, and they're great, but we don't target those for our academies. We want our state approved pathway certificates and diplomas as part of those academies, because those are what will be eligible for those Act 59 incentive dollars to come back to the high schools. So sometimes we say credentials, kind of openly, because I'm talking about those pathway certificates and diplomas. From a certification standpoint, many of our classes, I think approximately at last count, about 80% of our programs offered courses that had industry certifications embedded. And so several of the courses that we target, especially in the welding and the CNC areas, have either MSSC, or a variety of other, credentials available to students. And so those industry certifications are often embedded. They come along with our state system approved certificates and diplomas that we offer.
So are the credits that the students earn at Gateway, at the technical college, are they pretty easily transferable to a four-year college if they choose to go on?
Sure. So that is also a good question. It depends on the course that's taken. So in this welding example, those are in our state system, technical diploma level courses. Those do not transfer to bachelor's programs. However, in any of our academies, so nursing, for example, the Advanced Manufacturing Smart Academy that Ray mentioned, our IT data analytics, those programs are all comprised of associate level courses. So as students are taking those through the dual credit academies, those are typically transferable. Again, depends on the partner, depends on the transferring program, but those will typically transfer, or at least be looked at for transfer with our four-year partners.
Jamie, one thing I would add is, so this year is going to be our first year offering our General Studies Academy. And so we specifically picked classes in the state of Wisconsin. We have a transfer agreement between the Wisconsin Technical College System and many of our private colleges here in Wisconsin, as well as we have an agreement between our Wisconsin Technical College System and all of our UW partners. And so when picking the four classes for our General Studies Academy, I really referred back to those agreements, making sure that we were trying to find classes that would transfer. So I know that was a big question all of our parents and students were asking. So it was really nice to have those agreements, really utilizing those established agreements to select those courses.
And are your high school students in the same sections with the college students, or do you have separate high school sections on the college campus?
Yep, these are separate high school college, or these are separate from the traditional students. So these are cohort students. Only high school students are participating in these sections. So yeah, out in Elkhorn campus, it's 16 high school students in the welding with Aaron, who's our instructor. He knows they're all high school students, but those high school students are coming from all over. So like I mentioned, most high schools are sending on average of 4 students amongst all of our programs. So it's kind of cool to see these other high schools, students who may disagree on the football field because they're coming from rivalry schools, but in the welding lab they're buddies. So it's pretty cool to see.
And are high school faculty ever allowed to serve as adjunct faculty to the college to be able to teach some of these courses?
So in this particular model, I know I went over, there were 7 ways that high school students can earn free dual credit. The number one way here at the college where most of our dual credit comes from is through a program called transcripted credit. Transcripted credit is where we do have high school teachers that are qualified, meeting our HLC, our accreditors, hiring qualifications that we have here at the college. They do teach college level courses at the high school, but specifically for our high school academy model today, it is truly all of our Gateway faculty that are teaching in this model.
And is this just for technical courses, or does this include general courses as well?
Yeah, so we're going to pilot this next year with general studies. General studies being our first, we're going to offer it out here at the Elkhorn campus, as well as we have a group of students that are going to be doing it online. So we're trying both. We're going to see how it goes, but we have about, I think, 25 of our students for this upcoming year will be taking general studies. So I'm really excited to see how it goes. In addition, for our nursing academy, students will be taking general anatomy and physiology, so one of our gen ed classes in that program as well. So really excited to be partnering with our school, our general studies division this upcoming year.
And the classes,
sorry, Claudia. I think one of the other distinctions, and I think what this question might have been getting at is, are there gen ed requirements in some of these certificates or short-term diplomas? And typically we select those that don't have any of those gen ed requirements, so that they're really just taking the kind of short-term blocks of more program specific, technical, hands-on skill courses. But again, there very well may be courses that offer something like a technical math, but then often we can find ways with what they've taken in high school or in other ways to meet that requirement. So typically most of the short-term credentials we're targeting for dual credit academies do not have gen ed requirements built within the credential.
And when they take these courses at Gateway, do they get any kind of credit at the high school, maybe an elective credit or something for those courses?
Yeah, they do. Yep. So most of our high schools, they're awarding the high school credit, and then we're awarding the college credit. But yep.
And then someone asked, I thought this was interesting, how might we launch these interests for the pathways, kind of a pathway exploration at the middle school level? And have y'all started doing that to get students interested in being part of this program in high school?
Ray, do you want to maybe highlight some of our middle school with SumoBot? I'm thinking SumoBot and Hour of Code.
Right. I think those are difficult questions, but what we've done is, we've had an Hour of Code where we bring the middle schools all into our Gateway campuses so they find out what that's like and literally code. And at the same time, we take them on tours of the college campus so they find out what college life is like. And they kind of feel pretty important because they're walking around with their Gateway backpack that they get, and it's all stuffed with materials about the college, and they have a great day with us. We also do a SumoBot competition here at the IMED Center where we actually have the middle schools compete against the high schools and sometimes the colleges. And you'd be surprised at how well they do in their teams, and everybody's around cheering. Over 200 participants, and they're all cheering everybody that's participating in that. In addition, we have our Fab Lab that goes out and actually gives our grade schools kits that actually can help them integrate engineering principles into coursework, and they offer that not only at the grade school level but at the middle school level. So they're not to replace a course per se, but they're to assist any type of instructor on, let's say they want to help with math and they want a project for that. This kit can actually help them do that and get the concept across much easier. There are certifications as well that many high schools, and we actually have a grade school in the Kenosha area that have actually went for industry certifications. NC3, the National Certification Center, has actually issued to a grade school snap-on rule testing where they actually learn what a ruler is and how to use a ruler. So that is happening at the grade school. So we've got lots of inroads that we're using, but no direct courses, obviously, because that would be very difficult for them to grasp at this time.
All right. So approximately what % of your students that are involved in these programs are on grants, and what % are supported by the schools?
So right now, I can figure that out. There's about 120 students that are participating this upcoming year, and currently the only one that is funded by a private donor has 12 students in it. So majority,
That's about 10%.
but
Yeah.
majority of them are being paid for by their high school's tuition and fees.
And do the high schools that work with Gateway, do many of them still have their own technical centers?
Yeah, many of them do. So I know one of our high schools, so actually it's who we probably have the most students coming from for CNC. They have CNC machines at their high school. Our faculty support and mentor the faculty at the high school. Our faculty at the high school actually teaches transcripted credit, so dual credit. And so they do some of the introductory CNC classes, and then I think it's a great recruiting part for us, because a lot of those students, after they take all of those high school classes their senior year, are then coming to our high school academy model. They have a good baseline understanding of CNC, and then through the academy they're able to earn their credential, their career pathway certificate, I should say, and are employable. I know I was down in Rich's classroom and he was even showing me like students are being hired for like $26 an hour, Ray, which is really exciting. But so I think, yeah, a lot of these high schools do have some of the same equipment that we have here at the college, and are introducing students to these programs and getting their feet wet while in high school, and then coming over here to our high school academy, really kind of bringing it home and really showing that true partnership that we do have with our high schools.
Yeah, and if I could add something, Claudia, is a lot of the schools, they give that intro course, but they don't have enough equipment because it is expensive to run a full class. They don't have enough equipment for all the students to actually get what they need. And that's what happens is they get all this demand from these students, and then they say, oh, this academy sounds like a great option to send them to.
Great. What entry level positions are open to students who earn the criminal justice degree? What can they start with that degree? What can they go and apply for?
Sure. And so I think there's a bit of a distinction here, though. So in our criminal justice pathway, we have a pathway certificate called Intro to Security Professional. So that is where they're taking a few really entry-level courses in criminal justice and getting prepared to work in the security field, hopefully while they are continuing then on their education here. Primarily at our associate level, that is preparing students for anything from a police officer, sheriff's officer, a correctional officer. So again, you can kind of see that distinction from, I know there were a couple of questions about what is a stackable credential, right? So you can see that distinction where the first couple of criminal justice courses would really prepare you, again, entry-level security guard position in the criminal justice field. And then as you complete the entire 2-year degree, then your doors open a little bit more widely, right? For some of those more what we would traditionally think of as law enforcement positions.
And do you have students pursuing a certificate through an online only program?
So this last year, criminal justice was offered 100% online. So our criminal justice, where students were earning that security professional career pathway certificate, was online. So that was our very first time doing an online. This upcoming year, we will have students participating in general studies, both in person and online. So we're going to see how that goes. So really trying to offer a variety of opportunities for students, so online and in person.
So I'm going to combine two of these questions because to me they're similar. One of them asks, has your program ever worked with law enforcement for returning citizens, adults, or juveniles? And then someone also asked, would this approach work within a corrections prison framework?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, actually. We have similar programs going with the corrections for men. We actually have a trailer at one of the prisons that our instructor teaches them when they're within 6 months of release, CNC operator. So they go all the way through a tech diploma for that. The women from the women's prison come here actually to the campus, and they're here from the morning through the afternoon. And they're the same thing. Within 6 months of being released, and they get a CNC operator certification. And then the youth as well. This year, we built out a trailer to go to the youth prison, and they'll be taking a smart manufacturing certification. So they will be going down that pathway.
Well, there were several other good questions. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Katie, Jamie, Ray, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your information with us. For the ones of you who may have signed on a little late, this was recorded and you will be sent a link to the recording within the week, as well as access to or a link for all of the handouts and the slide deck. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Be safe and have a good rest of the day. Goodbye.